to take a closer look at my craft table. So this is a desk that my lovely husband made for me, but it's nothing special. He actually based it off of one that we had seen at Dunelm, which if it's still available, I will link in the description and pop a little picture on the screen for you. But as you can see on top here, I have my Centro knitting machine, and this is the ball that I put underneath when I'm using to keep the yarn, and this lovely fellow's just keeping it company. And anyone who does have this knitting machine will know that the suction cups are quite insane. So when I'm not using it, I do have these little stoppers so that I can move it around and easily pick it up without it sticking to the desk. And then this is my sewing machine, which is just a brother machine. I can't remember the actual model that I have, but again, I'll pop that on the screen and pop a link in the description as well. I do need to make a new machine cover for this one because this is a cover I had made for my previous sewing machine, which was a lot larger. So I do need to get around to making a new one. Maybe I'll film that if anyone would be interested in seeing that. And then I just have a little coaster here for a glass of water, and there's plenty of space for just my phone on the bedside table as well. And the majority of the stuff is kept in this drawer. So I'll just give an overview of what it looks like. Okay, so let's go through from left to right. So I've just pulled this out so I can show you exactly what it looks like. And this is just a pencil case I bought from Amazon. I wanted something that would be big enough to keep all of my sewing, knitting, crochet, everything you can think of tools. So everything is just in one place. And it opens up here, and up the top here I've got my darning needles. This is just a little silk purse full of what are they called? Stitch markers. Here are my seam rippers. So they're in there, easy to get to, and I always just leave that open so I can easily grab things. These are all of my crochet hooks, and I also have my favourite blunt needle just slid in there. And this was all just one strip, but I just put some little tacking stitches in to make them all a little bit smaller so I could sort of segment them by size and they didn't all rock back and forth. And then I just have my loom pick for the knitting machine just slotted in there so it's easy to find. Okay, and then if I list this flat, as you can see, I mean, this looks a little bit messy, but when you're dealing with such a small space, sometimes you can't put dividers and everything because they do take up space, and you can just fit more in if you just put everything in. But I try to keep things in the same sort of area, so I always have my knitting needles, which I just there's more than 30 in here because I did have 2 of these, but I just combined them into one. And then I have my tape measure, and then have all my pins, and I'm perfectly happy with them just in here. I don't feel the need for a pin cushion. I can easily pick them up, and this doesn't bother me, and it's easier to store in here. And then underneath here I just have some chalk, but then I also have some coloured pencils, which I like to use as well as a pen. And then I just have other tools here. So I have some thimbles, scissors, snips, a latching tool, which I am learning to use with the knitting machine. It does have a bit of a learning curve to it, but I'm getting better. I have some circular knit needles in here, but these are just generally tools that I reach for on a regular basis, and they're easy to access. But I won't go into too much detail. I can do a sort of basic tools if you want to see that. And then this does have another side to it, and this is just where I keep tools that I don't use very often. Plastic crochet hooks, which I prefer the aluminium ones, alternative size needles, that sort of thing, but I don't really use those tools very often, but they were too useful to throw out, so I just put them in the bottom there. And then this just lives at the front here, and I like that if I want to go work downstairs or on the couch or anything, I can just grab that and I know that I've got needles, pins, everything I could think of. And then further back here, I just have this little box, which I do have a video on how I made this. I wanted it to be the same size as the pencil case, so it would fit in this drawer. I'll link that in the cards and in the description box below. And that's just holds all of my thread, and I don't buy more thread unless I've got space to have it. So I waited until I had enough space to buy a 9-pack of thread, and then I bought a 9-pack of black thread. I don't have a whole lot of colours. I tend to sew mostly with neutrals, black, white, grey, cream, so those are the colours I have. And then at the back here, this is just a bit of a dump, to be honest. So I have my French ruler just laying on the top there because it doesn't really fit anywhere else. But at the back here I just have my hot glue gun and spare glue sticks, some more chalk for when the ones in my kit run out. And then I do have a pin cushion here, but like I say, I actually prefer just using the pack of pins. And then here I just have notebooks, a pack of other coloured pencils, and then there's any sort of paper patterns that I have, I just fold them and they're just stored underneath there as well. And then here I have quilting clips, which are just easy to grab if I'm on the machine and I need anything. My fabric cutting scissors just slide down the front there. And then this is a jewellery box, which I'll just pull that out. So inside here is not any jewellery, it's filled with buttons. So I've sort of segmented them into these smaller buttons. Then these are all my black buttons, my translucent buttons, and then my cream and sort of brass buttons. Again, I tend to sew with mostly neutrals, so they're the only ones that I ever need. And then just in the bottom here, this is where I have all of my zips. So again, neutrals, white, cream, grey, and black. I think these are actually navy. And then in these little pouches, I just have things like pop fasteners. Anytime I get rid of a bra, I keep the hooks and eyes. So they're in one of these as well. So these are just filled with various other sort of fastenings. So this is sort of my fastenings box. And then behind that is just a little fabric storage box that I made. Inside here are other sort of tools, if I can open this one-handed. So I've got some Velcro, suction cups, and other sorts of things in here that are also sort of fastenings but wouldn't fit in the jewellery box. Okay, so I just pop those back there. And moving on just to this end section here. So this is my quilter's ruler. If you don't have one of these, I would highly recommend getting one. It's so useful to line up your fabric with, but being able to see the fabric through the ruler as well. And I just sort of use that as a lid for this little basket here, which has got all of my sort of ribbons, trims. This is just a little pouch, crocheted pouch of just scrap yarn, which is what I use to cast on and cast off on my knitting machine. So that's nice, easy access right at the front of the drawer there to grab some. And then I've just got some lace, pom-poms, ribbon, bias tape. So they're all stored in there. And how I organize these is I just roll everything up, and then I put clear hair elastics around them, because elastic bands they're too big, whereas these are really small and quite compact, and I think I got like 250 for the pound, so they're really affordable as well. And then in the back here is just another little box which doesn't have anything in, but it just helps stop this from sliding. But it also means I've got some extra real estate if I did want to buy any more tools or anything like that. But I find this one drawer holds everything I could ever need, and I've been sewing for over 10 years and I've never really needed anything else. So just pop that back in there and shut the drawer. And then just underneath here is where I house my fabric. So I've got this stool here with a makeshift pillow. I do need to make a better pillow. But in these two here, this is all of my fabric, and I just have some larger Velcro here, which I haven't really found a use for. A bit of cardboard at the back there just to keep it more upright, and I do tie the strings around to stop it bulging. So I was thinking about making a lid for this box just to keep it a bit more rigid, but it works for now. And this is just one of the boxes from IKEA, so I think it was about £4. Yeah, and I just roll up all of my fabric so I can sort of see from a top view what I have. And again, I try not to buy more fabric than I have storage space for, so I'm quite intentional when it comes to shopping. And sometimes that's horrible when I see something lovely on sale, but right now I'm packed to the brim. I've got quite a few projects that I want to make, and I think this is the fabric. It's like pink on one side and green on the other. I might use this to make a new sewing machine cover for my sewing machine. So let me know in the comments if you'd be interested in seeing a video on that. I'm thinking about maybe doing some sort of quilted patchwork design, which I've never done before. And then this is going to be fabric for like a hippie inspired 18th century gown, because it's quite sort of floral and hippie in style, but I wanted to make a gown. So that's all my fabric store. And then underneath, this is just my yarn. So again, this isn't really stored very well, and I try to only buy yarn that I have space to store. So this was a Santa hat, which I ended up making more than I needed, so this just needs unraveled and put back in the store. So yeah, not much else to say about my yarn store. I try and wind the balls themselves, because as you can see, this ball is one that I've wound, and these are what they originally looked like. So, you know, they take up half the amount of space if you wind them quite tightly yourself. So I try to do that as much as I can. But again, I try and only buy yarn for an actual project, and generally use it up quite quickly, so it never actually even sees this box. Okay, and I'll just tidy up a bit. And again, this is a stool that my husband made for me, because I have really short legs and it's really hard to find a chair that's the right height for me without having my legs dangling. So my husband made this lovely stool for me. And then this box that just lives underneath, I am thinking about covering it in some nice fabric or finding something else. But this is just where I keep all of my cabbage. So any sort of scrap fabric goes in here. And if I need any stuffing or wadding or anything, I can just chop these up and use those for stuffing. Yeah. So that's it really. That is all the space I need for all of my crafting. So you don't really need a whole lot of space. You don't need a whole craft room. Like I say, this is just our bedroom, and I sacrificed having a bedside table to just have a craft table instead. So thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Subscribe if you want to follow me on my creative journey, but otherwise, have a nice day.